Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. And we're back finally. It's been a couple months here, Jeff. I'm trying to remember how we do this whole thing. We took a couple months off. Now we're back as, well, free agency is going to be coming up in a couple weeks. So it's time to come back. Time to do some episodes again. Today we're not going to talk free agency, though. We're going to talk players that we're not looking to draft in 2021. Just guys that, for whatever reason, some of them might be based on where they're ranked. Some of them just because we don't like them. I can't draft those players. So we're going to talk about those guys today. And then I think next couple weeks, we're going to do some free agency talk because I think it's only about 2 weeks away before free agents actually start, signing, which is crazy. So we're all ready to that point. So if you guys don't remember or haven't listened before, go check us out on Twitter at the FF Prophet. Instagram is Fantasy Football Prophet. Go to youtube.com/Fantasy Football Prophet as well. Follow us there. So I guess before we get into the list, there's been a few things that have actually happened in this offseason that maybe we should touch on real quick. Mainly quarterback moves, I'll say. So a couple QB moves, mainly, I guess, Stafford getting traded to the Rams. And Goff going to the Lions in that deal, which, fantasy purposes, I don't know how much does it make. I guess the only thing I think that might help is, do the Rams receivers look better to you? I guess that would be the only story here, I would feel like, because I don't think Stafford's better than Goff, I would say. Obviously, everyone would think that. Can he make Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods even more attractive in fantasy? I know you're never been a Robert Woods guy, but...
No, and I'm not, but I do have to give him his credit. He has played past my expectation almost every year. Last year, their offense did not get going really, but he was the solid wide receiver out of everyone. So, yeah, obviously, I got to give him a little more credit. I do like the fact that Stafford is going over there. Goff, Goff did have a good year or two. I don't think that he is quite the caliber of player Stafford is. Yeah. We're Lions fans, so that's, saying something. But Stafford really does have an elite arm. Mm-hmm. He's been able to put together a lot of really good years with very substandard talent around him. But he has been able to throw the ball a lot. He has had Kelvin Johnson in his past. He has had Galladay, who is a little underutilized or under kind of valued in the football community, I think, a little bit right now. So I do really think that Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods will do well. I think he'll put up numbers there. But I don't know how much better it'll be than he was in the Lions. I think the bigger one is Goff. Does this one pretty much just make him so destined for, kind of just not being in the conversation at all?
A lot of this is going to depend on what happens, I guess, with the receivers. Sounds like Marvin Jones is just going to be gone. He wants to join Stafford in Los Angeles, is what one of the rumors was. Mm-hmm. Galladay's a free agent. Do they franchise tag him? Do they give him a deal?
They'll franchise. They'll try to give him on a deal, but they'll franchise tag him. They can't lose him right now.
At least they'll have him. They're going to have to draft a receiver.
You have Hawkinson. You spent a top 10 draft on him, so you have a tight end that can catch the ball.
Yep.
He started coming on last year. Great. You have Galladay. Yep. He should be the number one, but he was hurt a lot of last year. You do have Swift, who... hopefully he'll be able to catch.
He should be able to catch the ball. And the nice thing I think I've heard about with Swift is Anthony Lynn, the new offensive coordinator, says he sees some Austin Eckler in him.
Well, I hope. I keep just seeing him dropping that touchdown to
I know, but
if
they get him some catches. That'd be nice.
Yeah. But they're going to be hurting. They're rebuilding.
It's not going to be pretty, probably.
And coming off of last year too, where he just didn't look like he had it. The move is not going to help him.
Yep.
But he is a talented guy. There was a reason why they drafted him so high, the Rams.
Yep.
And there's a reason why he was still a starting quarterback.
Yep. Some other moves, I guess Carson Wentz traded to the Colts, which is, I think, a good move. For the Colts. Rivers retired after his year there. He's gone. Take a chance on Wentz for 2 years. I see nothing wrong with it. I think he's better. I think he still has something. I think he was an MVP candidate, a few years back. There's something still there, I think.
I'm not going to put any money behind it, but I do like you're paying him a buttload of money, right?
Yeah, but 2 years.
His contract was big.
Yeah.
The thing that interests me, and I have maybe this one got blown out of the water, but there were like creeping suspicions that Luck might come back. And if that happened, it would be a game changer. I don't know what would happen anymore. But yeah, Wentz, I really hope he goes. I'm rooting for the guy that comes back because he came back from injury. He kind of battled it out, and people gave him nothing but guff. And then a very talented rookie quarterback came in and showed what he could do, and then Wentz was out the door. But when you have a big fat contract like that, that's what will happen.
Jalen Hurts will be interesting in drafts. I can see some overvalue going, even though that should be the perfect value pick you could get. In a normal world, Jalen Hurts should be a good late round value quarterback you get, but I just feel like it's going to get overblown. So I think the value's gone. But we'll see.
Quarterback in general is going to be a wild place to draft because when too, and we can get into this whole thing. I do have a quarterback on my list we're about to talk about, so we can get into that soon.
Which somebody in the comments said they draft him in the 5th. Well, we'll get to it when you get to him. But,
I feel like that proves my point, though.
So we'll see about that. And some other moves that we'll get when they happen. We'll meet Deshaun Watson. Will he be traded? We'll find out. 49ers look like they're trying to get a QB other than Garoppolo. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and all of that once, we actually get there. But today's not that. Today's players I won't draft, do not draft players list for 2021. And, this isn't, I'm not going to go out and say, like, this is absolutely do not, like, you shouldn't draft these players. That's not necessarily what this list is saying. It's saying I'm not going to do it. There's reasons for other people to do it, I guess. I'm not going to, there's a couple players I would probably be stronger about not going after them, but depends, I guess. For if you want to take this risk, I'm not going to be like, hey, you're screwed. You're not going to ruin your season with it.
Right.
But just think about it.
I think for the most part, though, and right now things can change on where they're being drafted and how they're being valued. We have a long offseason to play out. But as of right now, I would not draft these people because you're not going to get the value for it. And that's kind of where the idea behind this one came from every year.
We got 5 here. Let's go 5-1. Jeff, start number 5.
Number 5, hey, it's a guy I really, really respect and love, but I'm not going to draft him this year. I think from here on out, I'm off of him, but it's going to be Julio Jones. He is a very talented wide receiver. He's amazing, but the truth of it, he's getting up there a little bit in years. He's a freak. He can still put up some numbers without a doubt, but he's going to be 32. Hey, last year he only played 9 games. You're on an Atlanta team that's not all that good. Matty Ice is getting up there too. And he's never really been a huge red zone guy, a TD maker, even though his freak ability, right? And we say it every year, it's pretty amazing, but look, last year he only had 3 touchdowns in 9 games. The year before that, he played 15 and got 6. And then the year before that, he had 8, which seems really good. The year before that, 3 and 6. So I don't see a whole lot of upside because his upside came from sheer yardage and because he was so much more dominant. But hey, I don't think that yardage is going to get back up into the 1,600 range where he could be like a couple years ago. And on top of that, Calvin Ridley was so good last year that they don't need him to be that Julio Jones anymore. So I think his ability is capped, not to mention he's getting a little bit older on a bad team. I think that the crazy part is he's still going to go extremely high, right? I think right now on Fantasy Pros, he's averaged out to be the 10th wide receiver taken. Okay, but some people have him as high as number 3. Yeah. And I'm thinking in most of my drafts, I'm not going to waste even a top 7, even if he was 10th, I'm not going to take him there. So I just don't see him ever being on my team. Yeah. I think he's going to be too highly valued. He's an amazing player. He had a great career, but that's where I cut it off.
He's going 3rd round a lot, and he's on my list too. So he's my number 1.
Number 1.
So
we should have planned that better,
but it's all good. So, here's my reasoning too. Is this is where I'm getting with, like, this is like the one player I'll tell. I'm not going to fault somebody for drafting Julio because Julio's a great player. I'm not doing it because I am not drafting Julio. I think I've said this for a couple years, but now he's really getting up there. I'm not drafting the guy on the year he's going to just fall off the cliff. He's 32 now.
I like how you hedged your bet. Like you were like 2 years ago. You're like, it's going to happen sometime.
It will happen. I'll be right eventually. It's going to happen. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Last
year was the time.
It started to, yes.
And I get the injury thing, but hey, was Well, how much better would he have done if he played a full season?
We always think they're going to come back from that, but at 32, the list of receivers that have been this good at 32 isn't very long. There have been people that have been good at this age. I'm not saying that. There definitely have been players, but it's not as common.
And they usually were still the number one wide receiver on their team. And I know that's crazy to sound, but Calvin Ridley is the number one there.
Yep. And right now you can get, based on rankings, you could get Michael Thomas after Julio, who I know most likely won't have Drew Brees. I don't think Brees is officially retired, but he's retiring.
That will probably help him. Nothing against Brees.
Yeah, it depends on who that guy is, but I think whoever they get at quarterback there will make it okay. I'm going to have Michael Thomas over Julio all day long. I'm just going to do that. I'm just absolutely going to pick Michael Thomas over Julio Jones. No question. So there, that's why Julio is number one on my list. It's just he's 32. He's 32. I mean, that's an old man at this point, right?
Watch it. But I get it. At some point you do have to cut bait. And when you're talking about drafting him as high as he is going to be drafted,
right?
Not only is he a great player, he's a Hall of Famer. He has great name recognition, but you're going to see a lot of people say, know what? He wasn't healthy last year.
Right.
And that is a very good point. But at what point do you just tip your cap and say, I'm going to take a guy that is going below him? And we can name a bunch of them that you just did. And if he does go in the top 7 wide receivers, which I'm really thinking he will. I think in the majority of them, he will go in the top 7. I just don't think you're going to get the value, and I would not take him there.
So, okay, I'll go my number 5 then.
Okay.
So my number 5 is James Robinson. And I know here comes the people that are going to hate this, and I get it every single time. And I got it on fall-off players. Me and Jeff both had him at number 1 when we did a fall-off player list on Instagram. People hated us for it. And they're saying, oh, he's just going to have a better quarterback. Everything's going to be better. I'm not going to completely fall. I just don't believe in the player that much.
Yeah. Well, true. Also, if you have a better quarterback, that doesn't necessarily mean the running back is going to be better.
Yes, Trevor Lawrence should be good, but rookie quarterbacks, maybe not.
He should be better.
He should be better. Yeah, better than Minshew.
Yeah, and you look at Burrow and a lot of these guys that come in as a rookie, even if you're highly touted and you do well, you're still not in the top 10 discussion.
And just because, they got a new coach, you're all excited. Urban Meyer's never coached the NFL. How do we know what this guy's going to do? Can he actually coach in the NFL? I don't know if he can. We'll find out.
I'm guessing he can, but
he probably can, but we don't know. And plus, I'm just saying, I don't believe in James Robinson. I just don't. I don't believe in him. And I know this is the argument to be like, well, if he's far enough down the board, you'll just get him. And people will call me out because I drafted him in our dynasty. But I was really just desperate at that point. I'm hoping to trade him, to be honest. And that's okay. That's the one move, because right now he's ranked about 20th at running back. So it's not like he's not overranked.
Look at this though. And once again, this is what Fantasy Pros will do for you because it's an average, right? But at the same time, that has got to be the largest spread I've ever seen in my life. It goes from topping out at 11 to the worst is number 70.
Yeah, I like
which
that guy.
Whoever did that is just being a dick. But number 70.
No, but I don't believe in him. And I will admit, if I'm wrong, I will admit it next year for sure. Believe me, I will. But I just don't think I'm going to be wrong. In either way, I'm just not going to do it. I don't feel good about James Robinson's my second running back. I just don't believe he's that great. I'm sorry. I just don't. And I would rather go with a top-notch wide receiver. They can get probably, if he's his 20th running back, you're getting a better wide receiver at that point, right? I guess the only possible scenario at all that I ever could draft James Robinson, maybe this is my one scenario, is if he's like my third running back and I plan on trading him right away to somebody I know who likes James Robinson, to be honest. But I honestly don't think James Robinson's going to get you very much right now.
Yeah,
beginning of next year. So I'm not going for him.
And once again, we could be wrong because Jacksonville is going to be they're going to shake it up, right? The thing that really worries me about James Robinson, he came on, this was his first year, only year in the league. He finished the 7th best running back. He really did amazing. But saying all that, because I don't want to take too much away from him, because I understand why people love him, right? But if you do have a new coach, new quarterback, new system in general, you do have some talented wide receivers like DJ Chark, who didn't really get to do a whole lot last year.
Yep.
And on top of that, we've said it a lot last year, but James Robinson was the only one to rush the ball. But you look at the numbers and they're so highly skewed just to him that you have to believe they have to bring in They don't have to, but I believe they will bring in another running back that
they need something else.
Yeah, that will at least take a little bit of the load off. He went for over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns, but even if, and 240 rushes, can he do it again? He absolutely could. But I don't see that happening because I don't think he's elite, and I think they'll spread the ball around a little more. And I think Urban Meyer will get his hands in there and kind of figure out what he wants to do. I think it just doesn't seem like it's going to be built around James Robinson. So,
all right. How about number 4 for you?
Number 4, I'm just going to stick with Atlanta, but I'm going to go with Todd Gurley.
Well, probably won't be on Atlanta, actually. But
just of last year. But I was a Todd Gurley fan last year because of where he was going, but it turned out to be kind of what people thought. He started off incredibly hot, and I looked like a genius. And then after they were terrible, they stopped giving him the ball, and he stopped getting touchdowns. He was incredibly touchdown dependent. He had 9 touchdowns, and I would have to look at his game by game to see where he ended up. But I think he went on a drought in the last half of the season. He's another one that I'm really, really rooting for. But, I don't think that like when people made it out to seem like it was the end of his career. I don't think that was true, but it is true where they're trying to protect him, and when he's on a bad team and they're losing, they don't use him nearly as much. And they kind of figured out, it was kind of a one-trick pony. He didn't quite look how I would want him to, and his yards per average once again dipped to that 3.5. We've seen it happen before, and he jumped back up, but I don't believe that's the case anymore. So, unfortunately, I got to say, Todd Gurley, no longer. I just can't do it. And it's crazy, too, because 9 touchdowns is a decent amount. I mean, without a doubt. But the years before that even, he had, 13, 17, and 12. That is really where he was uber successful, uber talented, uber special. And if he can't do that, and he played full 15 games, right? They just spared him down the road. So I don't think any team is going to make him the workhorse, so I'm just going to stay away from Todd Gurley.
Yeah, I don't think any team will probably make him the workhorse, and I hope this isn't it for Gurley. Like, he's truly just not done. But
he's one that I truly hope I'm wrong.
He's only going to be 27. It's crazy, man. What happens in the NFL?
Dude, running back.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, Tom Brady was 73 and still playing.
Yeah, man. And
running back, man.
Don't be a running back, and you don't get paid anymore.
No, you don't. It's rough. So I'm with you there. So my number 4, I went with Will Fuller, and so Will Fuller seems to have fans always. He always just, I don't know, people seem to really like this guy. And last year was the first season that he actually stayed healthy, but then he got suspended because was the only reason. No, this is maybe a little. Was he only healthy because he was taking PEDs? Is that why? Maybe. So maybe.
Didn't hurt, obviously.
So Will Fuller, he's also a free agent. We don't necessarily know where he's going to land. Maybe if he comes back with Houston, I don't necessarily love it. I mean, is Deshaun Watson going to be there? Who knows? But either way, this guy, he's never played 16 games. Obviously, the suspension made that happen last year. His first year, he played 14, then 10, 7, 11. Last year, he got to the 11 and got suspended. Last year was his best year ever with 53 catches. And you say, oh, yeah, he missed 5 games. But that's still only 53 catches. It's not a lot. It's only 5 catches a game.
Let's be honest. You know why they love him. He had 8 touchdowns in those 53.
He does. It's just, I don't know. There's something about it where I can't buy into him. And right now he's ranked around like around 20-ish, I think. And that's just, I like players after him, like that have even more upside. And I'm going to go for those guys. And I don't know, Will Fuller, I can't do it. I don't want to see him on my team. So I'm just not buying into it. I'm not.
I get it. I totally get it. And we've always said he's an incredibly talented individual that if he could stay healthy, he would be great. And that's why you would always take a risk on him, a flyer late. But because he didn't get hurt last year and people are kind of like, oh, look, he's healthy. Yep. They move him up because of what he's possibly able to do. But, we've seen this happen, right? After his rookie, or not his rookie campaign, but his sophomore year, he had 7 touchdowns on only 50 28 receptions.
Right.
And you're like, man, if that guy can stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And every year he has not been able to play more than 11 games.
Nope.
So, yeah, I get it. I know why people roll the dice with him. But I'm with you. It's very difficult, especially now that his stock is rising. And if he stays there, he will be the number one wide receiver. No Hopkins last year. That's why his stock rose a little bit. But let's be honest, if the quarterback leaves,
mm-hmm.
I can't imagine his stock doing anything but plummeting.
No. All right. Where are we at? Number 3. Who do you got?
Number 3, hey, he had a breakout year last year. He won a Super Bowl, but I've never been a fan of Ronald Jones, Rojo, and I'm not going to be tempted by his last year production. I don't really know what that team is going to look like next year. They had so many veterans on it. They pieced it together so they could win. He's definitely going to be the number one running back. I can't imagine that changing. But if Leonard Fournette is still there, Tom Brady is another year older. I realize that he doesn't age and he's unbelievable and they won the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. They have a lot of talent at wide receiver, all of that. It's very, very true, but I'm not a fan of him, and I think his stock is going to go far too high. And last year, he got 192 rushes. He almost got to 1,000, not quite, and he got 7 touchdowns. And he didn't really catch anything. He had 1 touchdown, 28 catches for 165 yards. I'd really like to see that one go up, but I don't know. Something about it does. I think he's just an average player, and I think he can be overtaken. I don't think maybe it won't be this year. Maybe if he was lower, I can understand saying, oh, I'm taking him as a value pick. I think right now, because of his success, you're not going to get any sort of value for him. So once again, I'm just not a Rojo fan.
Yeah, you won't find his way into my teams really. If Fournette doesn't re-sign there, he probably goes up the boards even more. So
yeah, right.
If Fournette signs, definitely won't go 5.
Yes, but I guarantee they're going to find another running back.
True. Yep. All right, my number 3. I went with Amari Cooper, who sorry, this is like a yearly thing for me with Amari Cooper. Because I never buy into this. And last year, I guess if you look at the numbers, 92 catches, 1,100 yards, 5 touchdowns. It's solid, right? It sounds solid. But I just get too many nothing games from Amari Cooper, and it still happens. It doesn't happen, I feel like, as frequent as it did with Oakland, back when he was with the Oakland Raiders back in the day. But they're still here. Like, there's a 2 for 23 game. There's a 1 for 5 game. There's a 2 for 10 game. There's a 6 for 41 game. He saved a couple of these bad ones. He had a 5 for 67. He had a 5 for 43, but with a touchdown. A 4 for 51 with a touchdown. He saved a couple, but there's a lot of bad games in there. And I believe CeeDee Lamb is going to make a big step up this year. And CeeDee Lamb's going to take more targets away from Amari Cooper. And I can't, even Amari Cooper at a more discounted rate than we're typically used to this year, I still can't do it. And I'm just not going to have Amari Cooper because I don't know. It's been a long time since I've hated him, and probably from that championship or that playoff game from years ago when I was in the playoffs and he beat me. But maybe it's not hate I should have towards him, but I do. And I will not have him on my team. So there's Amari Cooper. Again, people don't like me for that one. So get some Amari Cooper fans out there. But that up and downness, it's still there. It's still there. It hasn't gone away, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I can get that. He's not going to show up on my list because if he ended up on my team,
the value's better. I do get it. I still don't.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from though, without a doubt, and I actually agree with you as far as Lamb. I think he is a special player.
Lamb's where I'm really thinking. It's more to do with Lamb, to be honest. It's Cooper's inconsistency plus I feel like Lamb's emergence next year or this year, whatever we're at. All right, number 2.
Number 2, another very talented player that has plummeted, I don't even know, it through the earth down to the depths of hell because Odell Beckham Jr. We can talk about how talented he is until I'm blue in the face, but he has not been able to figure out how to play on a different team, how to stay healthy, just be a good football player that we saw in the first couple of years. And I cannot imagine a world where someone is not going to take a shot at him before he gets to a point where I'm comfortable taking him, right? Last year he had the injury. We don't know what it's going to look like when he comes back. Even when he did come back, if he's going to be on the Browns, He has never done a whole lot there, to be quite honest. I mean, he had 4 touchdowns and then 3 last year before he got hurt. He was only playing 7 games, so if you want to extrapolate that out, be my guest. But I'm not gonna go that way. They're a run first team, and yeah, I would love to be able to figure out in my head how I can do the mental gymnastics in order to give him a positive outlook. I just can't do it. And I got to call it how I see it. And he's really struggled, the past 4 years, pretty much the end of New York. And I don't see it getting any better for, I don't know. Why would it get better? That would be my only question. What would be different about this in the upcoming year? So Odell Beckham is going to be one for me.
I get it. I can't do it. I still love Odell Beckham.
Well, and that's
in a way.
Perfect. Yeah, but that's the perfect thing, right? Like, he is that kind of talented player. He has that kind of name recognition. He's going to go, you're going to rank him like here, and then he's going to go 10 spots higher because everyone's going to be like, well, why not? I'll take a shot at him.
It's going to depend big time on where he truly ends up going in these ranks in drafts next year. I want to, I'd love to get Odell on my team.
How low do you think he would actually fall?
I don't know. I could see him still being in the 20s.
Exactly. Yes, thank you.
But I'd like him as my third. I know, I get it. It's probably not the smartest move, but something about it. I feel like, man, this guy was so good, just so good.
All right, here we go. Okay, 100%. This on Fantasy Pros once again. It gives you a general idea, right? He is as high as 12, as low as 32. He's just not going to be on my team. He's coming in at number 20 at the moment. There's just no way. There's no way I can pull that trigger and feel good about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it.
There's so many talented guys later on, too, that are primed to kind of break out. So
I get it, but there's something about Odell.
Yeah, I get it. And that's why he's on my list.
But all right, my number 2. I went with David Montgomery, who
now you're going to get hate.
ended the year very well last year. He won some things. And we were talking about it on this show. We were talking about David Montgomery. I remember in one of our leagues, I told my brother to go trade for David Montgomery. I knew it was going to be a good end of the season. David Montgomery, though, it's fool's gold. I'll tell you this. This is why it is. Yeah, you look at the end of the year like, oh, wow. He really, finally started playing like people wanted him to. Look at the defenses he played against. And this is what happened. He comes back. He was inactive week 10, week 10, I think week 11 they had a bye. Comes back week 12 against Green Bay, has 11 carries, 103. That was his first good game. Green Bay is a middle of the road run defense. They weren't bad necessarily. They weren't good. They're just middle of the road. Next up, you get Detroit. That's where he starts really playing well. You get Detroit, who is a bottom 5 run defense in the league, of course. Then he goes against Houston, has another good game against Houston. Houston was basically the bottom run defense in the league, the last run defense in the league. Next up, you get Minnesota, another great game. That's probably the best one right there. 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. Great game against Minnesota. They're a bottom 6 defense of run defense in the league. You get to go against Jacksonville the next week. Another solid game. Jacksonville, bottom 3 run defense in the league. Then you end it with Green Bay again, middle of the road. Okay game. That wasn't a great one. 22 carries, 69 yards. Just a lot of bad defenses, and then one middle of the road defense. Of course, anybody who just gets a lot of carries and is an average running back is going to do well against that. You got to look at the beginning of the year how he was just terrible against Indianapolis, 10 for 27, Tampa 10 for 29, 14 for 48 against the Rams, 19 to 58 against Carolina, 14 carries, 30 yards against Tennessee, 14 for 45 against Atlanta. Just bad in a lot of those games. I do not trust David Montgomery to be my second running back at all. Just not even slightly do I trust that guy. And I even think he might go higher than this rank currently of 19th. He has a range of 13 to 26. I don't like it. I think that end of the year really, really, made people think he's better than he is. And I don't buy it. I think he's an average running back. Still do.
Yeah, I do too. It's really going to matter what Chicago does. I think a lot of things can change there. But I think you're absolutely right when you're talking about the eye test that everyone feels like they saw at the end of the year. He scored 7 touchdowns, 7 rushing touchdowns in the last 5 games. And, and they were out of it. And they're
bad teams.
Yeah, and they're playing bad teams. And their quarterback play,
except for Green Bay,
was not good. So if they figure out what they're going to do as far as quarterback goes, that could do a lot to hurt him as well. So I don't see once again, I don't see a whole lot of upside for him. I think this is probably best case scenario. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll turn into more of a, pounded out team, because they really were trying to figure out what to do in that passing offense. And, Allen Robinson, they're probably going to franchise tag him, I assume. But if he leaves, say, and they don't get a different QB, they kind of have to run it. And then in that case, I'm kind of like, there's no other place to go, and this is probably going to be more of the norm. So I'm not ready to take him off the table. It's really going to matter what happens in the offseason. So that's kind of why I'm lukewarm on Montgomery at the moment.
All right, so number one. My number one was Julio, talked about earlier. Jeff, get ready for the hate.
Yeah. And I'll take this one gladly. The number one guy that I'm not going to draft, he will not show up on any of my teams, is going to be Dak Prescott. I know that people love him, and I know that he has really good weapons, and we like Lamb. And Amari Cooper, you're not a big fan of.
Talented player. He could give Dak some decent weeks.
Right.
And if Gallup, I don't know if Gallup will still be there or not, but whatever. They might still have Gallup, and he still got Zeke running the ball, right? So
yeah. So you do have a talented team around you. If their defense doesn't get better, he's going to have to just throw. But hey, this is what it comes down to. In fantasy football, quarterback is incredibly difficult to figure out who is going to be on top, who is not going to be. Dak Prescott is going to be drafted probably in the top 5 quarterbacks because people loved him. He was on fire for when he did. He's been going up the ranks. He has a good team, offensive weapons, I should say. So all those things are going to make him just push to the top. I think he's already kind of ranked as number 5. We haven't really seen him move around to the point where he's going to be able to play in NFL games. And I remember the last thing I saw was his ankle almost falling off. Like he had no foot left. If he's not as mobile as he once was, that is going to change his game. Like he was a mobile quarterback. He did run into the end zone. It wasn't a crazy amount. It wasn't Lamar Jackson. It's not going to hamper him as much as maybe that would have happened, if it happened to him. But he's also not going to put up the same amount of numbers. So if I'm looking at it, and even if it takes him just a slow start to get going, look, here's the thing. If you're going to draft him in the top 5, he better be worth it, right? And, 2017, he ended as the number 11 quarterback. All right, good. Number 10 quarterback. And then the year after that, number 2 quarterback. And that is why everyone is thinking, oh my God, this guy's going to be amazing. He started off on fire. Even after only playing, 5 games or something, he finished like the 32nd quarterback. And he was really ripping it up. But that's not going to be the same guy anymore. I mean, you've seen injuries occur and the player's just not the same. That is a real possibility. And if you draft him like that, when I could get Aaron Rodgers again, when I could get a Stafford coming to the Rams, when I could
you could get right now, you could get Russell Wilson, you could get Justin Herbert.
Yes. I might as well just pull it up.
Here's my obviously Dak wasn't on my list, but I get it. And this is where people...
And it has more to do with fantasy football.
And this is where people are like... A lot of Dak comments when we posted this the other day, and people are saying... One guy was like, let me take Dak and Amari all day and all this stuff. Sure, okay. Whatever. Take Dak all you want. But here's my reasoning. Like you said, the injury here. With quarterback as deep as it is, and there are a lot of good quarterbacks you can get, why take a chance when you don't need to? Especially at a player who's going... in about the 5th or 6th round right now. Why would you draft a quarterback? First off, we don't draft quarterbacks there anyway. We don't do it anyway.
Yeah, it's a big no-no.
I don't like the strategy. And again, last year proved it to me once again, where I finally started I don't know if I was like going away from it, but I was starting to look at Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Like, oh man, I really want those guys. Starting to look at that. And then last year proved it to me. No, I don't need to do that. Because look at I got Kyler a little later. Look at Justin Herbert did. Look at Rodgers you were getting late. It makes no sense to get Dak Prescott in the 5th round. I'm not saying he's going to have a bad year. He probably will have a good year. If the guy's healthy, he's going to have a good year. But you know what? I don't know if he's going to be healthy.
Yeah.
And why would I draft him in the 5th round if I don't know he's going to be healthy? When I could get a running back or a wide receiver, probably a really good wide receiver right there at his spot, and go get Justin Herbert in the 8th. If I really wanted to reach for a quarterback, that'd be reaching for me almost. But 8th, go get Justin Herbert in the 8th round. Go do that all day. or just really wait. And if Jalen Hurts is truly going at like 15th quarterback and 13th round, I'll take Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would take Jalen Hurts. If his value stays there, why would I not take Jalen Hurts all day over Dak?
Yeah, he would have to be so much better than the other guys in the top 10. Last year, I mean, in the top 10 weeks 1 through 16, I don't count 17, the top 10 quarterbacks range anywhere from 21.24 to 25.8, and that was Kyler Murray. Yep. So you have a 4-point per game difference between all of them, right? And you don't really know who's going to do that, who's going to get hurt, anything like that. Why in the world would you spend that draft capital that way? Especially on a guy that's coming back from a horrific injury. And I know ankles, hey, I would have to look this up. I'm going to look this one up. I don't remember the last major ankle injury that I saw where at all. I mean, knee is kind of more, okay, yeah, I've seen that, but it's also usually quarterbacks that stand in the pocket and all they do is throw it. He does have a big arm, I get it, but you take away 5 rushing touchdowns a year, he's not going to be quite as good. And if he's only averaging 23 points a game, which, would put him in the top 10, probably right in that middle, still not worth it.
I'd rather take a chance on some of these like young receivers that are going in the same vicinity that he is.
Yeah.
Like Chase Claypool, T. Higgins, those kind of guys, and even Cortland Sutton, Brandon Ayuk around there. I'd rather take a chance that one of those guys breaks out and wait on my quarterback.
T. Higgins, I would, yeah, absolutely.
I'd easily wait.
On top of that, you have to. I mean, if Dallas doesn't address their terrible defense, then I don't know what they're doing, right? And they have to, and it has to take away a few of those extra plays they're going to get. They're not, I mean, last year was wild with the way Dallas was able to play. And you're going to say, well, Jeff, what about their year before that when he ended up as the second best quarterback? I get it. He does have that possibility. Yep. But even then, would he be worth it to take that risk? I don't believe so.
He also has one other factor that makes me not want to draft him is Mike McCarthy's a moron. So.
I don't know. More about running the ball.
I just haven't said it in a long time.
Yeah.
I needed to get that out.
But yeah, I mean, look at that too. It's pretty wild. Like the people that you drafted incredibly high, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, finished 3rd and 9th. Ryan Tannehill, once again, I mean, we mentioned him a million times. He finished 7th. You could get him for nothing, and you don't have to worry about it. I mean, he was going to be finished in the top 10. Russell Wilson, once again, you can get him a little bit later.
Yep.
The people that finished 1 and 2, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, you got them. I guess at the bottom of the top 10 or whatever.
Yep.
But once again, those guys run the ball a lot. I don't think Dak is going to be running nearly as much anymore.
No, don't think so. So there's our list. One question I did have quick, because this comment was brought up. I was curious your thoughts on it. When I posted this, people were like, oh, you got to put Joe Mixon on the list. I can't do it. I can't quit Joe Mixon. And Joe Mixon currently is ranked 14th at running back. I love that. I'm sorry. I know maybe I shouldn't. But I do. I love Joe Mixon yet. I love him even more at value. I think he's a good running back, and I think he's on a better team. So are you on the do not draft Joe Mixon board, or are you
No,
you would draft
him? I think this is probably appropriate for where he should go, because we don't quite know what the Bengals are going to be, but I think they were trending in the right direction.
Yep.
I really like what they're putting together. Burrow, hopefully healthy. Yep. T. Higgins, I really, really like what I saw. You have Tyler Boyd, which is solid. You know what? Yes, last year it was very, very much of a disappointment, but he only played 6 games, right? And yes, he's battled. He's been out a few games at least every year, but I'm not ready to give up on him, especially for a guy that is clearly their workhorse. I mean, 2 years ago, he had 278 carries. The guy's only going to be 25. I'm not ready to give up on him yet.
Yep. All right. So that will do it for our do not draft players list. We'll be back next week. We're going to do some NFL free agent preview. Free agency officially, teams can sign players on March 17th. That's when it first officially opens, which we should have some news, though, a couple days before that. So in 2 weeks, we'll have some free agent stuff. But next week, we'll do a little preview of some of the players that are out there. There's some good ones, actually. So Aaron Jones is out there. A few running backs, Aaron Jones, Chris Carson's out there. Kenyon Drake's out there. Players like that. So in wide receivers, there's actually a lot of good wide receivers. Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin is out there. Kenny Galladay, possibly. Robinson and Galladay, maybe they're franchise, maybe they're not.
I think there's going to be a lot of franchise tagging going on.
There's going to be Will Fuller, we talked about. There's definitely some interesting players out there.
J.J. Watt went to the Cardinals. Well, not officially yet, but you know what I mean?
He did.
Yeah.
But, yeah, J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt cares about J.J. Watt. Because, like, that guy.
J.J. Watt cares about you. That's funny. Are you buying into the Cardinals at all this year? I mean, you like Kyler, obviously.
I think they can be okay.
Here's a better one. Yeah. Out of all the teams, who do you think is going to be the biggest turnaround this year?
San Francisco, because I think they were so. That's an easy one. Yeah. I think because they were so hurt.
Who's number 2?
I guess that's pretty. I mean, right? That's probably pretty simple. Now let me glance at teams. What do I think here, quick? I mean, I think San Francisco is an easy one just because I really believe in.
I think much like that one, I think New England is going to be.
I was going to say I really do truly think you're getting all those defensive guys back.
That's huge. People, I think people forgot how many guys they lost because of opting out.
They just announced they are coming back. Like I heard, all of them are coming back.
Dude, that team, I think they're going to be on and Belichick is going to be on a warpath after Brady winning it and everyone talking crap about him. That is going to be a scary team. I think it'll be very interesting to see what they do at quarterback and on the offensive side of the ball. I think they realize they have to adapt a little bit, retool. Yep. So honestly, find that out.
Those are the teams. To me, it's the Niners and Patriots. They seem good coaching staffs. It just seems like a easy fit. There's not a lot of others.
What about Dolphins and Cincinnati? Two up and comers, if you will. They're kind of on the trajectory of they're hoping to be the Cardinals.
Yeah, I don't believe in Tua. So I don't. I don't believe in him.
What about Bengals though?
Maybe.
Do you believe in Burrow?
I do more. I don't believe in their offensive line necessarily yet.
So. I don't think he does either.
So that's the one thing I like Burrow. I like Mixon. I like T. Higgins, but we'll see if how much better the line is. That'll be huge. So, but I think 49ers and Patriots should easily have a turnaround if they get the right whatever their quarterback situation is going to be. But they can make any running back. So I'd like to see Leonard Fournette go there. I think he could make him work. They make everything work there. All right, that'll do it. Next week, we'll talk some free agents. Talk to you guys then.